Back to the next part named as process model, software development process model. We'll first understand each word what we are talking. Models are nothing but the representations of the systems. Process tells us what to do, how to do, when to do to reach at a certain goal. We are talking about software development process models. So software development can be represented as a phased development process, and that phased development process having different phases like analysis, designing, coding, testing and deployment. So anyhow, any software you are going to build, you are going to develop, you have to follow this ADCTD approach. But that ADCTD approach can be represented in a different terms, different styles. The different styles are known as process models. So in case of basically this software development process model, different styles are very famous one. The first is waterfall process model, second is iterative approach, third is prototype basically, fourth one is spiral model, and fifth one is V&V model, that is verification and validation model as part of our syllabus. So let's start with the first, waterfall process model. Now as the name suggests, waterfall process model, it's starting from the water flows normally from higher level to lower level, and it cannot goes back as the characteristics of waterfall. Same characteristics we will apply for our first approach, waterfall process model. We will start with the very first basic model. This model was suggested by a scientist named as Royce. So this is a Royce model also, and it is represented in simplest format. In various books, various diagrams are there, but these are the one authenticated diagram, which is now going to get displayed on your screen. So the first part of the software development life cycle is feasibility study, system feasibility. Next is requirement analysis, designing. As we said, there are two types of design: top level design, logical design or high level designs. Next is after design, coding. After coding, next is testing, and after testing, the next is deployment, or sometimes it is referred as maintenance. So it is just like a waterfall, starting from system feasibility to the analysis to the designing to the coding and to the testing. So in simplicity, I can represent just for my purpose in this pattern. So requirements, that is analysis, designing, implementation, coding, verification, nothing but the testing, and maintenance is nothing but the deployment. As I rightly said, different books have different diagrams, so I have represented this as a waterfall process model. Analysis deals about the requirement, so they have mentioned as a requirement. Designing deals about the approaches, maybe function oriented approach or maybe object oriented approach. Implementation, it is writing a code where we will use about the source code, database, user documentation. Next is verification. That verification is nothing but the testing scenarios, testing process. And the next one is maintenance. It is required for maintenance of the software. So this is what the simplest idea about the waterfall process model. Now when to use this means what type of projects in which we can use the waterfall model, where the requirements are fixed one, because in waterfall process model, as the name suggests, without completion of analysis we cannot start the designing. Unless and until you cannot complete the designing, we cannot start its coding. So this is log based process model. The phases, the steps are fixed one. Once you complete them, then only you can start the next step. So if you are well known to the requirement, then you can use the waterfall product. If the product definition is stable, means where there is very less scope for the change in the requirement, in that case we can go for product definition, means this waterfall model. What the technology you are going to implement in the project is well understood to you, then use waterfall process model. New version of existing product, means already someone product is ready, some customization you want to do or some rebuild you want to go, in that case you can go with this scenarios. Next is porting an existing product to new platform. In that situation also you can use this waterfall process model. This is, it delays some advantages, or what we can say. Now we see any model you take, we are going to see the following things. First as a diagram, second it's a brief description, next analysis, designing, means next part means this analysis. After that, advantages, disadvantages, when to use the model, and if any what we can say, outcomes, that parts we need to understand. So this is what about the waterfall process model. Problems, as I rightly mentioned, it is a straightforward log based process model. Next model is prototyping model. Prototyping model, it is just nothing but implementation of waterfall process model, but in different manner. Now what is that different manner? Is we will interact with the customer, we'll try to understand. Prototype means defining the rules and regulation. So here I am going to implement simply analysis, designing, coding, testing. These phases will be the common, but how we are going to build this will be get decided by this particular prototype. So simply remember the example is suppose you are planning to purchase some gold jewelry. So you are interacting with that salesperson. So salesperson asks you, wait, for example, I'm planning to purchase a ring. So what will be the weight of the gold you are planning to purchase? So I said about 10 gram. So that thing is fixed. Now prototype is fixed. The ring having a weight of 10 gram only, but it can have different designs, different size. So that will be discussed as the first phase, requirement analysis. If it is get fixed, means your weight is get fixed, then next part is it is going to get start. It's a design, it's a code and test. So we are implementing again the waterfall process model, but the pattern is get changed. Earlier in one straightforward we have started with analysis, then immediately designing, then the next coding, testing and deployment. But here we will focus on the customer's expectations. Unless until customer is not satisfied with what we done, we cannot start the next phase. So this is based on entirely customer's choice. So we are calling it as a prototype model. Now next, based on this, some advantages as represented in simplest formats. So advantages of this prototyping model is, it is a preliminary project plan is developed. So this is I am talking as a strength, advantages. So customer can see the system requirements as they are being gathered. So everything takes place in front of or in interaction with end user, customer also. So developer learns from the customers. Continuous interactions of the informations or continuous discussion is going on. More accurate end product. Why? Because the customer continuous interactions is going on. Unexpected requirement accommodated. Why? Because the customer is there, so continuously he is trying to suggest some changes, and the changes can be accommodated. That is, it allows for the flexible design and the developments. So visible signs of the project's product. Interaction with prototype stimulates awareness of the additional needed functionality in future also. Weakness, insufficient analysis, means we don't get that much of time because we are focusing only on the customer's expectations. So insufficient analysis. Overall maintainability may be overlooked. Why? Because it is as per the customer's need. We are trying to put pressure on our development teams, and continuously it is overloaded. Customer may want the prototype delivered and process may continue forever. Scope creeps. Yeah, that is one of the disadvantages. When to use this prototyping model are unstable, to have to be clarified. So we'll prefer in some projects where customer demand is important. Next model is iterative enhancement model. Now as the name suggests, enhancement, making changes, making progress, good things we need to achieve. Enhancement. Iterative means repetition. So the software development, whatever we are going to do, we will try to do it in some enhancement approach. Means I will follow the waterfall process model, but while we are implementing the waterfall process model, I will implement it in iterative manner. Means what? For example, I am working with what we can say, I am working with simple project called as what, calculator. Now to build this calculator, I need to work with the 4 model: analysis, designing, coding and addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So in waterfall process model, what I will do, I will complete the analysis first for all the 4 models, which may create a problem. So what I will do, rather than concentrating on all four models at a time, I will concentrate only on one model, for example addition. With respect to addition, I will complete analysis, designing, coding and testing. If it results are okay, I'll go for the next model, that is one subtraction. So I am implementing waterfall process model for individual modules, not for the whole project at a time. So that is what the advantage I am getting. That model I am calling as a iterative enhancement model. Now next is spiral model. It is known as Bohem model also. Why? Because it is developed by a scientist named as, suggested by a scientist named as a Bohem. This model represents model of the model. So it is called as meta model. How it is represented, or what is the characteristics? As the name suggests, it's a simple diagram. It is get divided into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4. Starting from the start, reaching towards analysis, designing, development, and these all parts. So this is one simplest diagram for the spiral models. These are the 4 quadrants. Evaluate means first quadrant starting from this, determine objectives, alternative constraints. Next is evaluate alternatives, identify, resolve risks. Third is develop the next level product, and the next one is plan next phase. So this entire model works in these 4 quadrants: determine objectives, evaluate alternatives, develop next level product, and plan next phase. So what are the things they are going to do in quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3 and quadrant 4? This is as a spiral models. Early indications of impossible risk without much cost. These are its advantages. So simply we are implementing a waterfall process model, but in different manner. So major important part here we need to concentrate is why the spiral model is known as meta model or model of the other model. So it represents other models, that is waterfall process model and prototype models are used in it. So it represents two simple models, waterfall process model and prototype model, in single type of a model called as one spiral model. Now next is V-shaped model or verification and validation model. So I have a different phases like analysis, designing, coding and testing, and then next is deployment. So I don't wait for the testing at the next phase. Unless as soon as my analysis is done, I will start the testing. So one part is verification, one part is validation. So I just check what I am doing and what I have done. Verification means checking the correct, and validation means what you have done represented in this simplest format, and the shape comes as a V shape. So it is known as V-shaped model. These are its advantages. And this is the simplest comparisons of the various models. Okay, so we will take a pause here. In next lecture we will start about the last bit, agile project management. Thank you.